I would be in Mr. Microphone for the whole neighborhood, I think. I have to turn the audio up for the song because the lights work off of the music audio, and in order for the lights up there on the ceiling fan to work properly, I kind of have to crank the stereo. So I forgot to turn it down. So I want to start out tonight with calling something out once again, because folks need to be asking some questions. Seriously need to, and beyond just asking the questions, they need to push the issue. Because something's not right here. And for folks that are actually concerned about preparedness, for folks that are actually concerned about what they can do if and when that big old SHTF rolls around, this issue needs to be pressed. Because I've listened to video after video after video, live stream after live stream after live stream. I know for a fact that not just myself, but others as well, has brought some issues. I need to get rid of that screen. One moment. Has brought a particular issue up multiple times, and it gets no light. None. And so this morning, once again, Bear did a live stream, and he talked about grid down. And during the process of the video, he started talking about different types of alternative energy and stuff like that. And more or less his stance is that, you shouldn't have to, you shouldn't be dependent on technology. And I'm like, well, that's okay to a point, but only to a point. I agree. We shouldn't be focused on making sure that our phones work. We shouldn't be focused on making sure that our computers work. I get that. I agree wholeheartedly. We need to be both mentally and physically prepared to deal without having those things. That's a fact. But there's one piece of technology that goes back over a century that we damn well better make sure we keep on to. And if we don't, there's not much chance. He talked about, vehicles and having gas stored and all of that. And I don't know if anybody's picked up on it, but a lot of times anymore, he really has to talk about what he's got, and what you should get, or if you shouldn't get it, blah. Well, not everybody has all kinds of money being handed to them to be able to buy this stuff. Plain and simple. And it's not a matter of anybody that doesn't have the money is just, they're just crap out of luck. That's not whatsoever even remotely the case. And I know he mentioned something either today or yesterday or something about doing a video basically on prepping on the cheap. And that's great. I commend him if he does that. But it's awful sad when there's an answer that, and I've said it before, I'll say it again because I stand behind my word. Millions of lives could be saved if we can have this discussion. I'm just a little channel, and I'm not personable. I understand why people largely don't come here. If they do come here, they don't stick around. I get it. I knew from day one I wasn't the guy to do this. Believe me, I've had argument after argument after argument with the Father over this. But there's a reason why the Father wants me to do this. Because I'm not somebody that walks away from a mission easily. I'm not someone that will get discouraged easily. And I'm someone that when they get challenged with a task, I will do absolutely anything to see it through. And so it's because of that persistence, and it's because of my integrity, that the Father has me here trying to talk sense into folks. And you know, long ago, Bear used to have a couple of different things that he went by, and he truly went by them. He did. I'll say that wholeheartedly. One of those things was be humble and kind. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. He hit 100,000 subscribers, and he quit wearing the shirt, and he quit having the attitude. Completely. That was one of the big things that I had noticed. The other thing that I had noticed is the level of vanity, the pride. It's unreal. And I even brought up, just for reference, and then we'll get more serious into the topic here, but folks really need... The last thing I want to do is cause anybody to stumble. And there are so many ways that we can cause our brothers and sisters to stumble. For one, vanity, pride, anything of the sort, yeah, big time. Big time. Greed, big time. But there's one thing that anybody that's serious about the Father should really be focused on, and that's making sure that nobody thinks of them as an idol. That's important, because if you put on, I'm going to just say, if you put on a show, whatever the case may be, if you put on a show to impress others, to get others to like you, you're causing them to stumble, because they're not supposed to be doing that. They're not supposed to be idolizing you. I don't want anybody idolizing me at all, not even a little bit. The reason why is because that would make you stumble, and I don't want to make you stumble. I don't want to be responsible for that. I'm trying. I am absolutely 100% doing everything I can to walk in the way. The other thing that he would often talk about, and he still brings it up once in a while, but it's it's nonsensical, is that he would, the 4 quarters philosophy, right? He would rather have, a small group of people that were really into it instead of a bunch of people that weren't. Well, now he's catering to a bunch of people that really aren't. And the reason why I say that, and the reason why that's obvious that people can spot just by taking a quick look, is because most of the people are fawning over the stuff that he talks, the stuff he says, how he says it, the stuff he has. Folks, that's causing people to stumble. And just for reference, because I don't want anybody taking my word for anything, but just for reference, we're going to look real quick at the 7 deadly sins, just as a reminder. Lust, okay, that's a given. Gluttony, gluttony covers more than just food, okay? It really covers more than just food. It says here, Corinthians 10:31, therefore, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. So, not only is it wrong to be greedy, but it's also wrong to, and greed is another one, by the way. So let me go there, and then I'll just go down the list, because it all adds up. Greed, the Bible says the following in Hebrews 13:5, let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have, for he himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Okay? And it mentions other biblical texts that talks about it. But that's why whenever I talk about my prepping priority list, and I haven't really talked about it a whole lot lately, and I just actually mentioned it in a Facebook group again here recently, that's why spirituality is number 1. I mean, for a million reasons, not just that. But for the things that I come up short, I rely on the Father, right? Physically, I'm done. I am done physically. I The COPD is pretty nasty. And I have to rely on the Father for my shortcomings in that area. And I have full faith that whatever it is, if the Father wants to see me through it, I'm going to see through it. It's that simple. He's the one that has control of that. There's a lot of stuff I don't understand. Sloth, he's not guilty of that. Wrath, nah, not really. I mean, I imagine he can probably be a pretty pissed off, upset character, but so can I. I'll put my demon up against his any day. It's not a good thing, though. It's not a good thing, and I want to make that very clear. Envy. Okay? Now, I wouldn't say that he's necessarily got envy, but that's where he's causing people to stumble. Pride. That's a big one. Bible says the following in Jeremiah 9:23-24. Let not the mighty man boast of his might, but let him who boast of this, that he understands and knows me. Talks about other places in the Bible it mentions humility cures pride by removing one's ego and boastfulness, therefore allowing the attitude of service. And now I often think about Paul and Corinthians when I think about pride, because there's a part in Corinthians, and I can't remember the Bible, I can't tell you exactly where to go to get it, but he talks about, more or less, he admits to his boastfulness, but he makes claim that his boastfulness is to the Father, and that's it. And I'm not going to sit here and debate Paul on whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, or that's neither here nor there. But this stuff is important, folks, because in the end, we are responsible for what happens in our own lives. Absolutely responsible for what happens in our own lives. And the frustrating thing about this is these channels, and it's not just Bear, there's several of them. None of them will have any real content about gasification. And it's almost as if they think it's a fallacy. They don't believe it. Now, I don't know if that's the case. It's kind of hard to not believe it when there were tons of people in World War II that did it, and there's tons of people today doing it. You can go into your favorite or unfavorite search engine, and I'm just going to put in wood gasifier. Might help if I bring you along. Okay. And I'm actually just going to click on the Images tab. Okay, that's where I got the picture for the thumbnail. That's what I did. I put in wood gasifier and went to the Images tab, right? And you'll see the one pretty close to the top that I chose. But you will see countless pictures of people's gasifiers that they've built. Many different styles, many different designs, many different sizes. You can make a makeshift gasifier as easily as putting wood chunks in an ammo can and having a vent on the ammo can, because you're going to need a hose on the other side of the vent on the ammo can, because what you're going to do is you're going to heat that ammo can up in a fire. The ammo can, remember, has got wood chunks in it. And that will be enough to produce enough hydrogen. You could actually, I say hydrogen, wood gas. It will produce enough wood gas that you could run a small engine. You could run a generator or something like that off of the ammo can style. But it's not the way I recommend doing. You're much better off actually building an actual wood gasification system. But, I mean, just countless examples of wood gasifiers. Countless. And it absolutely blows my mind Here's one of them I was going to share. This riding tractor that's got a wood gasifier built on it. I thought that one was pretty cool. The picture I had is right there of that particular machine. Oh wait, no it wasn't. No it wasn't. But it's down in here. Here's another guy with a truck. I don't know if that's Wayne Keith or not. It might be Wayne Keith. I'm not sure. Wayne Keith has several trucks that he has set up with wood gasification. Here's a car. Right here. And there are plenty of examples of cars that have wood gasification. Plenty of examples. Again, this was done in World War II. This isn't like it's some newfangled technology. It's not. It's not. And this rather simple device, I am not stuttering when I say it can save millions of lives. Why? Because probably the biggest issue that we're going to run into in a post-SHTF event is not, and I've said it a ton of times, is not going to be able to produce the food in order to support the populace. And that is one of the biggest reasons 90% of the people they estimate would die within a year if we lost the power grid. You're going to have disease. That's going to be a big one. But you know what? You can help out there too. You can help out there too on the cheap. You don't have to. I always recommend people go get a Sawyer water filter. Not one, several. Always recommend that. But on the same token, I know how to scavenge materials and what materials to scavenge to be able to build my own water filters. Why do I know that? When I've got probably enough water filters to last me the rest of my life? Because it's not about me. It's not about me. You guys don't give a damn about my collection of water filters, and you shouldn't. But it's real easy to know to understand and know the basics of water filtration and how to teach people how they can go scavenge a Coke 2-liter soda bottle or whatever flavor, it doesn't matter, and some charcoal, long as it's not got lighter fluid in it, like the match light type of stuff. It's just got to be straight charcoal. And some sand, some pebbles, and a little bit of cloth, like say from a t-shirt, or if you got cheesecloth, that's great. And you can make water filters that are safe and effective that way. You still want to boil your water. Water filtration and water purification are not the same thing. But so if we can prevent the dysentery, essentially, from starting, and other things that people would get from drinking contaminated water, if we can cut down, if we can actually be leaders for those around us, and we can cut down on the amount of disease by showing people proper ways to filter, purify their water, and proper ways to dispose of waste, how many lives did we save there? Countless. Countless. If we can take it a step further and make sure that we can produce enough food for people to eat, how many lives are we going to save there? This is where I'm coming from. And the part that pisses me off is there's not very many people talking about this. And the people that could really, because I can't reach out to nothing. And that's fine. In fact, I don't want to be big. I do not want to be big. But I'm at a loss as to why these individuals absolutely refuse to really get down to brass tacks and help people. Not sit there and brag about all the crap they've got. And yeah, it's a little jab in my side when we keep poking the Father in the eye and acting like we're representative of him. That's bullshit. I'm going to be straight up. That's bullshit. There's a reason why I am the way I am. I would not be so steadfast in my attitude about this stuff if it weren't for the fact that I fell, I stumbled, and I stumbled hard. And I don't want to see anybody else stumble that way. I don't. Now, individuals, if somebody wants to stumble, that's on them, right? But I don't want to see all kinds of people that participate with them to stumble as well, just because they don't have enough self-control to remain in the honor of the Father. You know, and I'm not perfect. I'm not saying, I'm a better servant, because I'm not. I am not. There are so many things that I don't do. But I hold myself accountable for them. And I don't sit there and go out and talk about how great I am when I'm not. None of us are. Not one of us. Not one of us. We all fail so horribly in the eyes of the Father. Every single one of us. And you know what's important? That we don't lose sight of that. When we lose sight of that, that's when we really start to stumble and fumble and fall. You know, a lot of ways to look at stuff. I was actually emailed a meme. One of my very, very favorite memes of all time. I emailed a meme to Steve Engel earlier. Conversation me and him have been having back and forth in email. And it's one of my favorite memes of all time, because it says everything. And by the way, I'll argue a lot of Christian angles on things. Just warning you. Just warning you. Because Christianity is why I was atheist. I'll say that right up front. So, and you may or may not have seen this before, but it's a young man and Yeshua sitting on a park bench. And the young man's asking Yeshua, so why do you allow things like hate, famine, war, suffering, disease, crime, homelessness, despair, etc. to exist in our world? And Yeshua says to him, interesting you should ask, because I was about to ask you this exact same question. See, it's easy to point at ugly things in life and then blame God or blame the devil. But in reality, it's not. It's not God. The devil will absolutely take advantage of any opportunity that he can to get you to stumble. You better bet that. We talk with some wonderful ladies from the Latter-day Saints from time to time. And it was just, last Friday, I believe it was, that we sat down and we spoke with a couple of them again. And they're all incredible. There's been probably 6 or 7 different girls we've spoke with over the time since we've started talking to them. And they're all absolutely wonderful. I love sitting down and talking to them. I really do. And, I'm not going to go into the conversation because it's a conversation between me and them. But I just say one of the young ladies had mentioned that there was a period of time to where she quit going to church. And I had asked why, and it was essentially just for work. But she mentioned a progression, that it wasn't just like she just decided to quit. It was kind of like, well, she missed a Sunday at church, which is another thing, but we're not, this isn't the time or the place to get into the holy day. But she said, it's just kind of one of those things to where she had missed one Sunday because they needed her to work. And then it just became more and more and more till eventually she stopped going to church and instead went to work. And I had said, you got to be careful of that, because that's how he gets you. That's how he gets you. He'll just a little bit, just bend just a little bit. And then before you know it, he's got you. I was so far screwed up at the point in time in which I lost my family. Now, I was trying to come around. I was trying. I won't say I was trying good enough, but I was trying. And I do want to serve the Father. And the only way that I could really serve the Father in a manner in which is as real as what it is I had to go through a period of time where I lost absolutely everything, to where he was the only thing I had. And I guarantee you there is a period of time to where me, that Bible, and the Father were it. We're it. I was stripped down to so bare nothing. Nothing. And one of the lessons I learned is that you have to be self-accountable. You have to recognize when that little bit of leeway is being called, or you being called. And if you give in to it, that is when you have to stop. That is when you have to be recognizant of what is going on and turn. You can't let it even get a little bit of a foothold. And I think overall, I think that's where a lot of mistakes are made. I think overall that's where a lot of people fall out with the Father, because it starts with just a little bit. But anyway, this ain't church. We're not here for that. And I probably spent too much time on it anyway. Let me just sum it up. Folks that are truly interested in preparedness, that is, folks that actually give a damn about people other than them or their friends or their family, because I'm sorry, I just can't ignore. You know how shit on I've been by a lot of people in this town? A lot of people. Right? But it's not been every single person. And I'm not going to hold that against every single person in this town, because we've got a bunch of trailer trash king and queen wannabes. I'm not going to hold that against each and every citizen of this town. Hell no. If I can help one person, then it was worth it. One person. And I don't mean by selling them something. It's ridiculous. It is really, truly hot and ridiculous. But, and I'll get off that, because we'll be back in church in just a real quick heartbeat if I don't. It is going to be up to you, the YouTube viewer, to fix this. Because if you don't, nobody else will. These folks are not going to be accountable for themselves. They're not. They don't care. They've got so many other things that they're more worried about than being a good leader. You need to press them on this, because these are the people. I'm not calling these people out because I don't like them, because I'm jealous, because of blah, blah, blah. No. Because these are the people that can actually have an effect. I can't have an effect. My channel's not big enough. I'm damn sure not personable enough. I want to help people, and not by selling them a bunch of crap. And the only way we can do that is to start discussing the topics, the things that are going to make the big differences. Wood gasification is at the top of that list. Water filtration, wood gasification, proper sanitation. Those things are going to top the list for saving lives. Hands down. And the sad truth is they can't tell you where to go to click add to cart to get a wood gasifier. They won't take the time to look into it a little bit, to at least have a basic understanding of what it is, how the process works. I've had it on the website. Gosh, it usually winds up on every website I build as far as the Watchman News is concerned. But you can go right there under resources. I've only got 2 things: e-juice recipes and FEMA gasifier plans. Right there. Oh, it popped it out in a new window, and I don't think I can. Hang on. Let me see if I can force it into that tab. FEMA gasifier plans, open link and new tab. Yes. Awesome sauce. So, yeah, it's not a real quick web host. But right there, go to thewatchmannews.com. Right there, construction of a simplified wood gas generator for fueling internal combustion engines in a petroleum emergency. Final report. Do you know where this came from? Because this is commonly called the FEMA gasifier. FEMA, right? I don't know who put this up, but I don't think they're the one that actually created it. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think they're the ones that actually created it. But they've had this for a long time and talked about it for a long time, and I am not a fan of FEMA. But you got to be awful damn foolish not to snatch on to valuable information like this, because I don't know how else to say it. I have no idea how else to say it. But expecting that things are going to be okay with the loss of the combustion engine is absolute foolishness. And it's not going to be okay for the people that are well prepared. It's not. Because when you've got that many people that aren't, come on now. And it's bad enough when you have these channels saying that, 12 to 15 or 12 to 20 people's enough. That's nonsensical. It is. It's nonsensical. Our group is multiple times that. And the main function of that group is just order and direction. To be prepared to step up and step in to help others help themselves. Let me say that again. To be prepared to step up and step in to help others help themselves. Now, there's an important little fact about that, because there's this problem that humanity seems to have. They never seem to think that they need to know or do something until it's too late. It's one of the human conditions. And so why not be ready? You know, I've talked before about, I've had discussions with folks about, they're concerned because they can't put together a group for whatever reason. They can't get a group built or whatever. And I keep trying to explain to people that now's not the best time to put together a group. It's not. Why? Do you know how each and every member of your group is going to react and respond under that kind of pressure? I can answer that question for you. No. I can't sit here and tell you undeniably for a fact how every single member of the group I'm in is going to act and react. They can't. And anybody that tells you they can are liars. Not having a group right now could absolutely be just as much, if not more, of a benefit. But it's hard to have those discussions when people use movies as reference to how to prepare. How do you go up against that? I keep saying, pick up a book, and people claim they are, but I don't know what damn books they're picking up, because I know the ones I've read. Being able to, like I say, once again, step up and step in so that you can help people help themselves is going to be the way you can save the most amount of lives. You know, it's kind of funny how he's got, and I'm speaking of Bear here, how he's got this long spiel about how blah, 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 in service to others and blah, 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 right? That should be your first indicator that something ain't right. When somebody keeps throwing that nonsense out, because that's what it is, it's nonsense. Why do I say that? Because he's only interested in helping if somebody's got the money to pay him for whatever. Whether that be his Patreon, whether that be his kit, his medical kit. And I'm not saying that he should be providing medical kits to everybody for free and blah, blah, blah. No. I have no problem at all with capitalism. At all. But there's much more important things that's free. But it seems like we can't focus on those because it's not profitable in any way. We really need to come off of that. We really, really do. My best advice for each and every one of you, as far as the whole big SHTF thing is concerned, is that you be prepared to help others help themselves. When you do that, you are going to be building the tightest, strongest community around you that you could possibly build. You're going to be building trust. You're going to be building so many quality things that's going to help your community get through. You know, back whenever here in this town, whenever they started bootlegging alcohol in order to keep the town going, that's exactly what those folks were doing. It's exactly what they were doing. Can you imagine an operation like that? Because the entire town had to have known. Everybody in the town had to have known what was going on. They had to have all been working together to make it happen. That's impressive. That's one of the biggest things that keeps me here. Because that mindset is still largely here. It really truly is. You want to see this town come together? Have somebody fall on hard times. Have somebody lose everything in a fire. Have somebody come down with cancer and need help. This town is incredible. You know, a lot of people act like either they don't know what's going to happen after SHTF or they act like it's just going to be an absolute Mad Max. No, there's going to be Mad Max parts, but that's not going to be the entirety of it, especially if you're prepared to step up, step in, and help people help themselves. I don't get what's not to understand with that. I don't. I'm going to say it one more time and we're going to get to the news because I've got like a shit ton. Pardon the language. I've got, I think, 10 tabs up tonight and we're already almost 50 minutes in. It's up to you, because I can't do it. I've tried. I know others that's tried, to no avail. It's up to you to press these channels to talking about the things that's going to have the most effect. And it's not buying a fucking first aid kit. Pardon the language, maybe. We need to be realistic. Really need to be realistic. Howdy, Ben. How you doing, brother? I agree with you. The bear's living outside of reality. Absolutely living outside of reality. He's became all about consumerism. And that's not what's going to get people through. It's just not. And it doesn't matter. He could have a 5,000-gallon storage tank full of fuel. And it wouldn't matter, because the day's still going to come that he's going to run out. What then? Well, there's a bunch of big damn trees around. There you go. There you go. But it's going to be much harder to come to these realizations after the fact than if people start working at it now. Is what it is. Howdy, Friday. How you doing? Sorry I haven't looked up in the chat. Leo, Friday, Ben. Hope you all are doing well. I don't know. Let's do some news. I'm gonna have to, I don't know how I'm gonna get through it. We're gonna be here till midnight. No. I'll try to make it quick. Gonna start out with this one. A humdinger of an article. Russian commander says Russian submarines will have these new hypersonic missiles. So yeah, and this really isn't anything new. Okay, we've been hearing about this for some time. So it's probably just one of those data points to put in the back of your head. I'm not personable. It takes a special mindset to think that I'm personable. I mean, it takes somebody that's a little rough around the edges as well, because those folks get it. Those folks get it. Yeah, we know about this. I'm not going to go into big detail about this. We know about this. We're aware of this, but they are going full force into deploying them on their subs. By the way, where are we at on hypersonic weapons tests as far as successful ones? Oh yeah, that's right. We still haven't had one. Well, this is North Korea's second successful hypersonic missile test. If you're keeping score. I'm keeping score. Because if there's a country that's going to take out our grid or try to poke us in the eye with a nuke, it's North Korea. Absolutely. And it sounds like they've got their solid rocket fuel missiles squared away. And that's a big deal. Why is that such a big deal? Because that makes it mobile. That makes it mobile. That's a big deal. Let's see. I am going to kind of try to do these. I'm sure you've heard about this today. Houthis hit a U.S. ship with a missile. And I've tried to figure out if this is the second U.S. ship that was hit by a missile or if it's the same one. Because I read an article earlier today that talked about, it might have been this article actually, War News 24/7 also put out an article on this incident. But it was, somebody was saying in the article that's coming to mind, somebody was saying something to the effect that there wasn't really a lot of damage done, and that the ship was still able to continue on, essentially. I don't know if it's this one or if that was another ship, to be honest. So, I don't know. I covered a lot of news today, and I crashed into a lot of air refuelers. No, that was the only time I tried refueling that aircraft today. It didn't go well. Houthis issue a new threat. What was that? Was she snoring or? Oh, okay. Thought we had a bear in the house for a moment. Houthis issue new threat to American ships. And, well, that's pretty much self-explanatory, is it not? They are clearly intending on ramping up the attacks on, I would say, not just American ships, but I would say any American assets. They're not interested in playing around no more. And I know a lot of people might just brush that off and say, oh, that's the Houthis. They're Houthis. They live in caves, and remember how they did in, like, Afghanistan. They made fun of them all, though, you know, bunch of people living in caves. Well, who tucked tail and ran? There is that. There is that. And who not just tucked tail and run, but tucked tail and run, leaving tons of military equipment and supplies behind. So, I don't know. It seems like them folks in those caves might know a thing or two. Never, ever underestimate your enemy. Major LNG exporter suspends shipping through Red Sea, says Reuters. So, this you've heard about. The whole reason for me bringing it up is because for each and every shipment that is delayed or not sent is going to raise the cost of energy. And that's going to apply to all of us. Something to keep mindful of. I'm not doing too bad whipping through these. I've already got 5 knocked out. Iran fires missiles at terrorists and spies near U.S. consulate. Now, this one I'll read into a little bit. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had used ballistic missiles against an ISIS base in Syria and a stronghold in the Israeli spy service Mossad in Iraq on Monday in retaliation for the recent terrorist bombings in Iran. 2 explosions killed almost 100 people in Kerman on January 3rd as pilgrims gathered to honor the late General Qassem Soleimani, killed by the U.S. in 2021. Islamic State claimed responsibility. Last month, another suicide bombing in the town of Rask killed 11 Iranian police. It was blamed on the Pakistan-based group Jaish al-Adl, or I can't pronounce that. How do you pronounce that? ADL? Anyway, it says, in response to the recent crimes of the terrorist groups that unjustly martyred a group of our dear compatriots in Kerman and Rask, we have identified gathering places of commanders and elements of ISIS related to the recent terrorist operations in the occupied territories of Syria and destroyed them by firing a number of ballistic missiles, the IRGC said in a statement. I think a lot of what you're going to be seeing unfold is proxy war through terrorists. And that's been going on for a long time. I mean, FBI and CIA, right? That's been going on for a long time already. But I think it's going to ramp up, and I do think we very likely will start seeing some things happening in the United States. So you may have heard that there was a couple of U.S. SEALs that are missing, and at this point, presumed dead. It's crazy. This here, they said they were chasing Iranian weapons. Says 2 U.S. Navy SEALs were reportedly searching for a shipment of Iranian weapons to Yemen's Houthi rebels when they went missing off the coast of Somalia late last week. The 2 were raiding a small sailboat on Thursday night when one of them fell into the rough seas. NBC News reported on Monday, citing unidentified Pentagon officials. The other SEAL jumped into the water to rescue his partner, and both disappeared into the darkness, according to the report, which Fox News and the Associated Press confirmed. The incident occurred as the SEALs were trying to board a small boat called a dhow in the Gulf of Aden. 4 days of search and rescue missions have failed to locate them. The disappearance comes amid rising tensions between the U.S. and Iranian-backed militias in the region as Israel's war with Hamas drags on. Houthi rocket and drone attacks on the Red Sea have disrupted shipping in the region, prompting a U.S.-led international operation to provide safe passage for oil tankers and cargo ships. The missing Special Operations sailors, who were attached to the Bahrain-based U.S. Fifth Fleet, weren't part of Operation Prosperity Guardian, NBC said. Rather, they were among the forces who have conducted missions in recent years to intercept weapons shipments to the Houthis. CENTCOM announced on Friday that the 2 unidentified SEALs had gone missing while conducting operations off the coast of Somalia. CENTCOM declined to release further details on the sailors and their mission, citing operational security and respect for the families affected. I'm still kind of curious as what went on with that helicopter, if you recall. I can't remember how many were on it off the top of my head, but there was a helicopter that went down not too awful long ago over by the Israeli area, if you will. Maybe Turkey, maybe off the coast. Somewhere in there, a chopper went down. And they kind of, I think they more or less said that it was just a training mission, but I suspect that there was probably much more up on that. This is another thing that people need to ask questions about. U.S. spent over $1 billion on Russian uranium, says media. It's not just uranium. We're getting a bunch of stuff from Russia. And it's never stopped. It hadn't even slowed down. Stuff like this is why I question whether or not there's a lot of backdoor deals going on. And whether or not some of these countries are being wheeled and dealed by the larger countries around them. I think there's some of that going on too. Let's see. German Ministry of Defense document says Germans to prepare for war with Russia. X-Day fast approaching. And it's not just Germany. You'll see in the headlines that Poland is also doing this stuff. In fact, Poland has pretty much invited Germany to come on through. So they've also talked about, I'm trying to think of the exact term off the top of my head, to where they more or less put in documents, if you will, allowing nations to be able to freely transfer weapons through the area, like, say, all of Europe or the UK, to where they don't have to go through a bunch of red tape and all that stuff to be able to travel, to go through those nations with that military equipment. I don't know where they're at on that, if that's been done already, but when they were talking about it, it really kind of sounded like it was going to be a thing. So be mindful of that. Okay, what's up with group fitness? Classes are canceled for group fitness on Tuesday, tomorrow. So you all know, because I know that many of you were looking forward to having the group fitness class here in town, but it's canceled. So, sorry to disappoint you. Our town had some pretty good communications. It really does. They've got their own little app, and then they've got an email list and all that. So anytime a mouse part's in town, I get an email, a notification on my phone, and then of course on Facebook, they'll make a post as well. So I gotta hand it to them for that. They're pretty good about getting out information like that. They're pretty good about that. In fact, the other day, before the storm hit, they put out more or less a warning about the storm. I mean, we didn't really get much. It just got nasty cold. But as far as the storm, we got a bunch of rain, and it's whatever you want to call that out there now. It looks like it's pretty well got the ground covered, even the street covered, but it's not like a serious snow. It's just like a snow shower kind of thing. It's not heavy in any way, so. But it's 8 degrees. That's actually a big positive from where it was. Today it was -4 when I got up. Yesterday was -7. All right. One more article up, and then we'll do some headlines. I love seeing stuff like this. I'll be glad if and when the United States can ever assemble like this. Thousands of tractors flood Berlin streets in massive farmer protest. Says here, thousands of tractors clogged the streets of Berlin on Monday as German farmers staged a major rally to protest against agricultural policy changes planned by Chancellor Olaf Scholz's cabinet. The government had earlier announced a reduction of tax breaks for the sector as well as plans to slash diesel subsidies. Photos and videos published on social media showed hundreds of pieces of agricultural equipment moving through Berlin streets in tight columns or standing at the side of the roads. Farmers moved through the city with flashing lights and sirens on. Some vehicles displayed banners and placards reading, "Break the Green Wave, Stop the Traffic Light Coalition," referring to the term commonly used to describe Germany's current government made up of the Social Democrats, Free Democrats, and the Greens. Other vehicles displayed slogans like "No farmers, no food, no future." Some roads in central Berlin were completely blocked by the protesting farmers, with tractors impeding movement in every vehicle lane. A massive gathering also took place in front of the Brandenburg Gate, not far from the Reichstag, Germany's parliament building. Drone footage posted on social media showed a large crowd occupying the square in front of the gate, many waving German flags. The rally was attended by the head of the German Farmers Association, Watchman, I know I got that wrong, who said that the industry is ready to talk with the government but would not accept its current terms, which it described as not fair. Ruckweed said farmers won't accept planned changes and called on the government to abandon the idea of scrapping tax breaks. "Enough is enough. Too much is too much," he added. The rally was also attended by Finance Minister Christian Lindner, who maintained that the government could not take on any more debt and needed to respond to developments in the ongoing conflict between Kiev and Moscow, including by investing more in defense. He also promised that diesel subsidies would not be cut in one go, but would gradually be phased out. Linder was loudly booed and insulted by the protesters, and talks between coalition representatives and farmers association leaders ended without breakthroughs. A total of about 8,500 people and 6,000 vehicles took part in the Monday protest, police told the media. Some local reports put the number of protesters at more than 10,000. Meanwhile, the rally organizers told German media that the turnout could have been as high as 30,000. The major demonstrations began last week when farms began blocking roads and highways with tractors in a nationwide demonstration. Berlin announced that slashing of agricultural expenses not long after it announced plans to double its support for Ukraine to 8 billion euros or 76 billion dollars in 2024. So that's what it means when people actually get up and do something. That messed me up because I was trying to make sure I was in the right spot. And we've got January 14th and then 14 hours. So, took me a second to catch it. A little bit of nicotine. See, that's one of the places I stumble the most. My addiction to nicotine and caffeine, probably some of my biggest stumbles. But it's not alcohol. Tea again, because I'm serious about cutting down on caffeine. And yeah, I don't like it near as good as my coffee, but it wets the palate. And fortunately, this morning when I woke up, I had no issue as far as my breathing and stuff like that. And the heater, the diesel heater that is, was actually turned up pretty high overnight. I think I had it on 2.4 overnight, maybe 2.3. I'm not sure. There's no 2.5. It goes up to 2.6. I don't know. Might have been 2.3. Nonetheless, it was kind of high for me to put it up all night. In fact, it's been up kind of high all day. It's sitting on 2.4 right now. I don't think I got it on 2.6. Let me check. Yeah, 2.4. So, and I'll probably drop it down to 2.3 maybe tonight when we go to bed. I got to put more diesel fuel in it though right after the show because I've already went through a half a tank today because I've got it turned up so so high. But it does pretty good. I mean, these heaters still have to run, but we're not freezing in here. And I've actually got these heaters to shut off several times today, so that's good. Yeah, I'm trying to find that happy medium, but once it reaches a certain point in temperature, you know, it's not really going to be so much about trying to save the power bill as what it becomes just staying warm. This place, and it does save on the power bill, because if it wouldn't be for that diesel heater, we would have, on these really cold days, we'd have to run the furnace too. In fact, I turned on the furnace for a very short time today, this morning, just to kind of help everything else out. And then I turned it back off. But if it wasn't for the diesel heater, we'd have to run the regular furnace, and that would jack up the bill. Alright, let's do some headlines. Trump, a threat to the UK, says ex-MI6 chief. And I'm still preferring Vivek by a long shot. America's 100 largest landowners revealed. Ukrainian terrorist missile attack thwarted, says Moscow. Apple, no longer world's most valuable company. They were overtaken by Windows, actually. Microsoft. Not Windows, but Microsoft. Reason being AI. Hamas releases new video of Israeli hostages. Australia, is that in... Wait a minute. Because I believe I covered that. A different video yesterday. No. This is the one. Never mind. Scratch that. That was RT's report on it, and what it was, I probably had War News' report on it yesterday that I did. Australia to scrap choppers requested by Ukraine, says media. Germany preparing for potential Russia-NATO war, says Bild. Ukraine denies deadlock at Davos peace formula talks. Let's see, covered that. Beijing cheers Moscow's stance on Taiwan. Apparently there's a rise in alcoholism reported in Russia. Wow. Because I'm pretty sure Russia already had a bit of an issue with that. Turkey probes Israeli football player for inciting hatred. Let's see. Covered that. Taiwan fumes over Beijing's stance on island's autonomy. Kiev restates goal of retaking Crimea. And I don't know why, but I got reminded of this reading through here. I was pleased to see a post that was in our little local group here for the town. There's a local amateur radio club that's going to be doing some testing here in February, next month, middle of February, I believe it was. And not only are they, doing in-person testing like they've done for a long time, but they're actually doing testing over Zoom. And I'm not even going to remotely have the funds to be able to take the testing in February. Because there's like a $14 fee from the club, and then I think it's like a $34 or something fee it was from the FCC. Here it is. I think it was 35, sorry. So $14 testing fee from the club. That's waived if you're a high school student or younger. I don't even think I could convince them of that. And not even on Zoom. And a $35 FCC licensing fee. So anyway, they're doing the test both in person and over Zoom. And this has been one of my goals that I've had for a little while. It wasn't something that was an absolute have to do, but if I can, I would love to. I would love to get my license again, and it's got to be way easier now. I don't have to remember Morse code this time, but I don't remember the antenna stuff. I really need to refresh myself on the antenna stuff. But awesome that they're going to be doing that. February 10th and 24th is when they're going to be doing that here. And so I do believe I'm waiting for him to get back with me because I had asked about if they do it later in the year, and they normally only do this like testing like one time a year. But he said that they can they can do it other times as well. They just need to have some advance notice. So. And I had asked if Zoom was still available in that case, if it's later on in the year. So waiting for a reply back on that because there's just no way. There's no way to be able to come up with that. But no big deal. I'll be able to get it. Plus I need to do some studying. So, but I thought that was cool. Let's see. AI doing British politicians' jobs, says minister. Well, it's not so far from what we got going on in our country. We got the puppet masters controlling the Bidens. So, talking about Zelensky's peace formula is pointless, says the Kremlin. Warsaw should Warsaw should prepare for more Ukrainian refugees, says Deputy Foreign Minister. Taiwan loses diplomatic ally to Beijing. UK to send 20,000 troops to NATO exercise. German troops, this is what I mentioned earlier, German troops welcome to march into Poland, says an official. A meeting between Putin and North Korean foreign minister not ruled out, says Kremlin. Abandoning dollar makes electronic goods cheaper in Russia, says Izvestia. Might be Izvestia, I don't know. Talked about the ship that was hit. A cost of dying at a record high in the UK, says a report. And that's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Kremlin reacts to report of Russia preparing attack on NATO. Fake fire report at White House triggers emergency response. Let's see. Covered that. Putin speaks to Modi. Turkey activates the memorandum with Libya. Prioritizes oil research. Let's see. UK boasts of leading aid to Ukraine. Zelensky rejected favorable peace deal with Russia, says an ex-aide. Erdogan told Turkish officials to boycott Davos, says Bloomberg. Covered that. Exercise sea wolf raising the Turkish flag on an island after landing. Time is running out for U.S. aid approval, says Kiev. Germany comments on Russian attack claim. Ukraine to close colleges for lack of students. Let's see. Why is it that they've got a lack of young people? I don't know. Houthis issue new... cover that one. Russia strikes New York and Donbass, says Ukraine. Russia foils another Ukrainian drone raid. Most U.S. adults give up on the American dream, according to a poll. Well, I mean, it's gone. I mean, what more can you say? It's gone. North Korea abandons hope of peaceful reunification. So I'm watching that situation too. Because that seems to be really, really getting tense between North and South Korea. And there's stuff that looks to be lighting up all over. So it's something to keep a very close eye on. Other than that, folks, all we can do is just keep moving forward. And I'll close with this. The best bet that we can hedge when it comes to survival after the big event, whatever that may be or whenever it may be, is to help support those around us. And everybody work together. That should be a given. Getting together in small groups and playing whatever the hell that is playing is not going to be beneficial for anyone. Because eventually, your small group will run out of enough people to be effective. And then what? I don't know. I don't think the Hollywood plan's a good one myself. But I am going to get out of here and go to bed. I got to fill a heater up and I got a pillow to whisper sweet nothings to. And hopefully I got a big old bellied dog laying next to me in bed tonight. Boy, last night I fell asleep the fastest I have fell asleep in a long time. And I had that girl snuggled up against me tight. And I was out. I don't even remember anything because I always put on a documentary, right? And right now it's a documentary covering all kinds of stuff about aliens and conspiracies and whatever. And I normally get enough interested in those types of things that I won't fall asleep during the first episode, sometimes not the second episode. Many times I'll be into the third episode or so before I actually doze off. And not last night. I don't even remember anything from the first episode. Nothing. I was out. And I am positive it was because I had that ornery thing snuggled up against me. And I didn't wake up when I had my arm around her when I went to sleep. So I don't remember her getting up and getting out of bed at all. I was out. So that's a good thing. And even when I got up, I once again, I woke up in the middle of the night, but I fell back asleep pretty quickly. And even when Jen got me up, it was like around 6:30, something like that, which is actually a fairly good night's rest for me, especially considering I fell right asleep. And I woke up so tired and exhausted, and I'm convinced it's because I was that far out. I mean, I actually, I think, had a good night's rest. So I'm praying that tonight I can have another one of those. So I need my favorite sidekick to do snuggles again. Hopefully she will. So anyway, I am gonna get out of here, and I hope you all have a good evening. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do this all over again. And we'll go from there as always. So, hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you have a good night as always. God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.